See, I have seen a lot of ignorance. I'm playing to the gallery since this conversation started. I can see a lot of folks now think it's a fight between Christians and Muslims. It is not. And I've repeated that for the upteenth time.
Yes.
Secondly, there are extremists across every religion. Every religion. Yes, as extremism across every religion you can think of. As long as there's a religion, there's a belief system, there are people that take their belief system to extreme. That's what extremism is all about.
Well, I think the point he's making, that's Professor Wole Soyinka, in terms of extremism, is talking about the killings that have occurred so far. I don't think that we should compare apples and oranges here about the extremism in terms of religion in that regard.
Oji, I'm making my point and I know where I'm going.
Okay.
You cannot make my point for me.
Okay.
They are extremists.
But you have to explain what you mean by extremism
across every religion.
In the other religions.
And I succinctly explained, Oji, by saying that as long as you have a belief system, which is a religion, they are extremists across that.
Okay.
What is happening in this regard, all right, is genocide against Christians. Muslims too are being killed. We get that. But the people that this killing has happened selectively and that they have complained in Benue, Yelwata, and other areas are Christians.
Correct.
And it passes the law of genocide because replacement is also happening. They can't go back to those communities. All right? So if Wole Soyinka is talking about extremism, no, this is just persecution and genocide killings against Christians.
Islamic extremists, that's what he meant, yeah.
So extremists, Islamic extremism,
that's what he meant.
I do not think it's right to put terrorist killing groups that have an agenda under extremism. I do not think so, because it's not right. Because it's an orchestrated agenda. And guess what? They do not kill solely for that intent. They also engage in criminality, they also engage in crime, and they set out to kill a particular group of people. So I'm just trying to make a clear decision out of it.
Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka has challenged U.S. President Donald Trump's characterization of Nigeria's security crisis, insisting the conflict is not a Christian-Muslim war, but a battle against extremist groups. Speaking during an interview with Democracy Now!, Soyinka stated that Trump's sweeping statements distort the true picture and risk deepening religious hostilities. The playwright emphasized that Nigeria is dealing with extremist political Islamists known as ISWAP or Boko Haram, and not Muslims as a people. Let's take a look.
The Christian Islam or Islam versus the rest, or even Christianity versus the rest, that kind of dichotomy has existed, as I said, for quite a few decades. We've had unquestionably the issue of impunity. In other words, if we identify, for instance, certain extreme groups in one religion, and the perpetrators of these horrors get away with it openly. There was a girl, a student, who was brutally lynched, really savage and dehumanized before being killed. The perpetrators who were charged to court, who were eventually acquitted, or at least the charges dismissed, when it gets to the level where such perpetrators go on internet, displaying a box of matches and saying, I quote, "There's the box of matches with which I kill. I was the one who set fire to her," and nothing happens to them, and they walk free. Now, it is those kinds of incidents which escalates in popular perception that there is a brutal war going on between Christians and Muslims. Whereas in truth, we're dealing with extremists. We're dealing with political Islamists, known sometimes as ISWAP across West Africa or Boko Haram within Nigeria. These are the real enemies of society.
All right, Vimba, Professor Soyinka's intervention provides a crucial nuance, reminding us that the real enemy is extremism that weaponizes religion for political and economic gain, killing Muslims and Christians alike. And I'll just take a reaction. Obviously his comment, because of how, diverse the conversation has been, has garnered a lot of reactions. But I'll just take one and I'll come to you, Vimbai. Godfrey wrote on X, he said, with respect to Professor Soyinka, downplaying Nigeria's crisis as not Christian Muslim ignores reality. Extremists have a clear agenda. History shows Arab, Islamic forces enslaved Black Africans for 1,300 years. Global attention, like Trump, is an opportunity, not a threat. I mean, this ex-user, believes Professor Wole Soyinka is actually downplaying the conversation. But we all know that we have these extremist groups, history in time. We know that this is the actual group that has been targeting, whether be it Christians or Muslims. We've also heard these groups, call out the name of Allah when they do the killings with the Christians as well.
Extremism is, we all know, is not unique to Nigeria or to the Sahel. We've seen similar groups across the world, specifically in the Middle East. At the moment, you see groups like Hamas, for example. They are terrorist organizations. Their philosophy and their indoctrination is very clear, which is that they are anti-anything that is not an extreme form of what they consider to be Islam. Because again, if you sit down with Muslim faithful, they will tell you that our religion does not condone X, Y, and Z. So it's very important to make that distinction. However, having said that, we also need to remember that extremism here in Nigeria has an equally targeted Christians, because as much as it targets moderate Muslims, I remember Ayo made this point very profoundly the other day. However, those who are most vulnerable are Christians because they are more obviously not part of that, not aligned with the cultures and the traditions. Whereas a moderate Muslim, for example, will seem to appear to be more in tune with the cultural perspective. For example, the dressing, just a simple example. So it's easier to pick out a woman who is dressed in a Western way versus somebody who is maybe wearing their hijab and so forth. So that targeting makes it easier. Having said that, it's also important for us to now remember that Nigeria's challenges have now snowballed into economic issues. We know the economy around the insecurity that has been created. We know that there are some communities that even safeguard and protect these people. Because, for example, if you're somebody who sells soft drinks for a living, they'll buy your soft drinks at a premium, 300, 400% more than the local market price. Right. And in doing so, they've induced the locals. Mm-hmm. Now, secondly, we know that this has also snowballed into criminality, general kidnapping. People who have an interest in kidnapping for ransom and so forth, are now hiding under the cover of the extremism that hasn't been nipped in the bud. So, we can't downplay it. We can't reduce it to say that, oh, it's not Christians, whatever. The foundational issue is there, and it exists from a historical context, which I've spoken on several times here. From the 19th century, we know that there's been this southward movement towards the coast, and they say, some of these extremists will say the plan is to take the Quran to the sea. So, we can't downplay that for the sake of, politics or sounding politically correct. The facts are there.
The facts are there, Vimbai.